Hi, this is Quantribe. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will show you an example of how you can create alerts for a strategy in TradingView which has stop loss and profit target. So here is a very simple example of this kind of strategy, and this example is very simple. So I have only one long signal, and it basically happened when one moving average cross another. And when the signal is true, I go and enter a long position, and after that I add a stop loss of 1% and profit target of 2%. So as you can see, strategy is super simple, but if you try to make a study from the strategy and create alerts, you can have quite a lot of problems with it. So let's go now and see how you can actually transform this strategy to a study. So first of all, let's go and create stop loss and profit target levels. We have to compute them manually, of course, because we cannot use all strategy.something functions in a study. So let's go and compute it. So stop loss level, first I will assign it to a 0, and after that I will define it, how to compute it. So because we are using a strategy entry function with a when statement and not like limit order, our position will be filled at open of the next bar. So to compute stop loss level properly, what we have to do is we have to check previous value of our long entry signal, and when this long signal is true of the previous version, we have to assign our stop loss level as to this bar open, and we have to multiply it by like 99%, and this will give us a price that is 1% lower than our opening price. So this is something we want, and in all other cases I will assign this variable to a previous value of the same variable. So it's quite simple, as you can see. Now let's do the same with profit target level, and idea is quite the same, but here I will multiply it by like 102%, and actually this will give us price that is 2% above our opening price. So this is also what we want for profit target. So now let's go and plot these levels to our chart and see if this stuff actually works. So I will use let's say red color for our stop loss, and I will use green color for our profit target. So let's save it and see how this works. As you can see here, we have a position, a long position, and after that, just in a few bars, we hit our stop loss level. As you can see, it was filled exactly at the level we calculated. So it seems like we calculated these levels correctly. Now let's go and create a signals for crossing our for these levels crossing. So it's also quite simple to do. We need to create a few variables. So first variable will be stop loss exit, and we will exit with the stop loss when our low level will cross under our stop loss level. And for a profit target, it is quite similar. So, but here I will replace close crossover, and here it will be a high level, and of course profit target level. So it's quite simple. And now let's go and plot our signals on our chart as well and see how they work and if they work correctly. I will use a plot shape function to plot all my signals. I will plot a long signal as well. So I will use text long, and here for stop loss level and profit target, I will use the same function. I will just replace the text for this plot shape. So profit target as well. So let's save it and see if it works correctly. So as you can see, well, it seems to work. Here we have a long signal, and here we have a stop loss signal as well. So it seems to work quite correct. Here, however, it doesn't seem to work correctly because we have a long signal, it works, but we have a stop loss signal, it works fine as well, but in a few bars we have again stop loss signal, but we have no position at this time. And this problem we have to solve, and it's quite easy to solve. So for us, when we use a strategy, TradingView solves this issue for us. If you don't have pyramiding, it won't allow more than one long entry at a time, and of course it won't give us any stop loss signals if we already exit our position. So what we have to do, we have to create a variable that will monitor in what position we are currently in. So let's create a variable called position, and I will assign 0 at first, and let's say our variable will be 0 if there is no position, and it will be 1 if it's long position. If you have, for example, short position, you can use like -1, for example. And if you want to use pyramiding, you can use more than bigger number for plus or minus, so on your choice. So now let's go and compute this position variable. So it's quite easy to compute it as well. So I will say that if our position has, if it's long entry, our position will be 1, and if our previous value of our position variable was 1, and we have stop loss or profit target exit currently, well, we will assign a 0 to our variable, and in all other cases I will use just previous version of this variable and will propagate it. So now we have this variable, so how we can use it? It's quite easy to use it as well, so we'll just add this variable to all our signals. So for long entry, I want to enter to a long position when there is no position currently. So what I will check is that a previous version of our position variables is 0, and then I can open my long entry, my long position. And for stop loss and profit targets, it's just the opposite. So I want it to be 1, and I want to see this crossover. So I think that's it. Let's save it and see if it filter out all this stuff. So as you can see, it seems to work. Now we have long signal in the proper place. We have only one stop loss. And let's see another example. So here we have a long signal. Here we have profit target. Here we have long entry. Here we have stop loss. So it seems to work properly. And the last thing you have to do is you actually have to come to translate this into a study. So let's just replace this first function call from strategy to study. Let's go and comment all the code related to a strategy. We don't need it, and it won't work in our study. So the last thing you have to do is you need to create alert condition. Okay, so condition, and you have to create one kind of function, to call one function for every signal you have. So I will call this long signal, and I will create one for a stop loss exit and profit target exit as well. So let's save it again and see if new alerts appeared in our alert sections. So now we can create alerts, go and select name of this function. As you can see, we have now 3 custom alerts we can use to simulate this strategy on just using alerts. And to be very careful because we are using kind of limit orders, basically limit or stop orders for stop loss and profit target. When you use a profit target, you have to use 1 per bar settings here for it to work properly. And if you're using kind of long position here, you have to use once per bar close, because we are using just entry with the when statement basically. So I think that's all for this video. I hope it helped you to understand how you can create alerts for this kind of strategies, a bit more complicated using different orders. This is not like universal way to create alerts, because your strategies can be much more complicated, and even this approach is not ideal because you might have some problems when, for example, in the same bar a position is open and stop loss is hit or something like that. But I think that it can be quite helpful for you to understand how in general it works. So I think that's all. Thank you for watching. Bye.